No, don't miss me right now.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome. My name is Julie Rhodes. I am actually just the moderator and viewer of this wonderful panel. Those of you that know me from working with Andrew and craft beer professionals on a regular basis, I'm a brewery business consultant. That is pretty much all I'm going to say about myself today. Because I want this discussion to not be about me at all. I definitely want to shift the spotlight over to the folks that we have joining us. Today, we are going to be talking about the Thunder Twins beer. It is a Hall of Fame collaboration beer to celebrate the Negro Leagues. So Thunder Twins is an all-star collaboration, so celebrating the legacy of Negro Leagues baseball and supporting inner-city educational enrichment and athletic programs. The Thunder Twins, Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard, were teammates on the Homestead Greys and are two of the most prolific players in Negro League history. In this conversation, we're going to be joined by panelists who represent a Negro League baseball family and some also who represent their namesake nonprofit organizations. They're going to discuss the campaign's history, the importance of celebrating the Negro Leagues, strategies to make this collaboration a success. We're going to let you know at the end how you can get involved and get signed up to help out, and how you can basically step up to the plate to help benefit and make this collaboration a big success. So I'm just going to get started by kind of going around the horn here on my screen, and I'll just go in order of the squares, but it'd be great if you could state your name and kind of what you do and how you're involved with the collaboration and how you're connected to the Negro League. So I will start with Jonathan.
Oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm Jonathan Hunter, step grandson of Buck Leonard, and I'm the historian for the Buck Leonard Association, and I also do some documentary work for the Buck Leonard Association, film work, and so it's been a passion of mine to tell the history of the Negro Leagues and things of this nature, and the history of Buck Leonard and the Thunder Twins. Yeah.
All right, I'm moving on. Thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go to Brian.
Hello. Yeah, it's great to be here, Julie. I'm Brian Patterson. I am the grandson of Buck Leonard and also the COO of the Buck Leonard Association, located in Rocky Mount. And thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Great, thank you. I'll go over to Joyce.
Good
Joyce, you
morning.
want to say hello?
Yes, I'm Joyce Stearns Thompson, the youngest daughter of Norman Turkey Stearns, and I'm also a member of the Negro League Family Alliance, and also we're working on the Turkey Stearns Foundation. Thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful. Lydia, I'm happy to see you. Do you want to jump in and say hello? Oh, can you unmute yourself? So
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. My name is Leah Teasley. Again, you said that. And I'm Ron Teasley's daughter. I'm hoping that he's going to be able to jump on. We're moving appointments around. We're in different cities right now. But I'm also a member of the Negro League Family Alliance and the executive director of the Ron and Marie Teasley Foundation. So I'm happy to be here to support the Thunder Twins campaign. And I look forward to anything I can do to help out.
wonderful. And to round it out, I'll go to Celeste.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Celeste Beatty. I'm the brewer and founder of Harlem Brewing Company here where I sit in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. We're Harlem Brew South. We're excited to be teamed up with the Buck Leonard Association and the Josh Gibson Foundation for this amazing baseball beer and the Thunder Twins history and legacy.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. So I'm not going to lie, I found out about this project a couple months ago, and I kind of jumped out of my seat when I saw the Instagram post, and I immediately, Tad and I, who helps out with the marketing on this campaign, he and I touched base, and he's like, Julie, why did you pick this out? Like, why did it catch your eye? And I said, well, I grew up in a baseball house. Like that's our thing is, my family and I, that's how, we did that instead of holidays, right? It's just a tradition. So baseball history is something that means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to a lot of other people in the US, and the Negro Leagues is a huge part of baseball history that I think the more people know about, the better. And if we can help raise awareness a little bit more with this call, I think it's just going to be amazing. So I'm going to toss it over to a few other people, and we'll talk about different aspects of the history and the leagues. And with that, I'm going to toss things over to Jonathan. And could you tell us a little bit more about the history of the Negro Leagues and how you're connected, and maybe a story or two?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, actually, the Negro League started in a sense in barnstorming. Started about barnstorming. When I say barnstorming, it was a group of black teams that went around the country and they barnstormed against each other and also other semi-pro baseball teams, whether they be white or be black. And it actually got organized, in 1920. But it's been going since before the Civil War and after the Civil War and through Reconstruction and things of this nature. But in 1920, a prolific entrepreneur by the name of Andrew Rube Foster from Calvert, Texas, he started what you call the Negro National League, and it started in Kansas City, 1920. He started this league, and he was a genius, and he also started out as a player as himself. He was a great pitcher, and he won like 44 games in a row. And like I said, he was a genius as far as it pertains to business. And he started his league in Kansas City in 1920, and he had about 8 teams he started with, and it was a lot of different Negro leagues as well, because the Negro League is a generic word that goes under a umbrella that says talks about players who played outside of the organized baseball and also players who played in organized baseball. But back to Rube Foster, and he started the Negro National League, and that went from 1920 to 1931. Actually, he passed away in 1930, but in 1926 he had some mental problems, and the league changed hands and went to another man named William Houston, which was a black judge, and he lived in Kansas City. It's also. But the Negro Leagues the Negro National League went from 1920 to 1931, and then the Great Depression started. It was around that time in 1932 they had some trouble, and it was taken back over in 1933 and went all the way into 1948, and it was taken over by the president by the name of Gus Greenlee. He also owned the Pittsburgh Crawfords. And also, there was Pittsburgh is a town. There was a lot of baseball history there, as you know, with the Homestead Greys being in that area about 7 miles outside of Pittsburgh. That's where the Homestead Greys played, and so that's where the Thunder Trends legend started, which is called the golden era of Negro League baseball. That's when Buck Leonard, Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, a lot of great future Hall of Famers that were in that area. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And also, I want to say, during that time, Rube Foster started this Negro National League. It was a $2 million industry, and that's about the equivalent of $46 million today. So that went on for like 5 or 6 years, and before it changed hands. But it's about 7 different leagues during that time that made up organized Negro League baseball. One of the leagues was also the American Negro Leagues, and it was started by a man named Ed Bolton. So the history is vast. Now, like I was saying, with the Thunder Twins, they played during what you call the golden era, like I was saying, of the Negro Leagues. And Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard were known as the Thunder Twins. They were the greatest hitting tandem in Negro League history. Buck Leonard is known as the greatest pure hitter in Negro League history, and Josh Gibson is known as the greatest power hitter in Negro League history. whether the pitcher was batting third with the left-handed pitcher or right-handed pitcher, they would switch back between third and fourth in the batting lineup. So, and also Buck Leonard was a team captain of the Homestead Greys during this time. And the Thunder Twins and the Homestead Greys won 9 straight championships in a row from between 1937 and 1945, and also won 2 Black World Series in 1943 and 1944, and also another one in 1948. Now, the Negro Leagues are called the new Negro Leagues because the Major League has accepted the statistics from the Negro League. They are called the Negro Major Leagues, and they took that those statistics between the years of 1920 and 1948. So this is about the time when the Homestead Greys and the Thunder Twins were in their heyday.
It's fantastic. Thank you. And I'm going to swing it over to Joyce, because I would love to hear a little bit more about your dad, I believe, Turkey Stearns. You could tell us a little bit about him and his history with the league.
Okay, well, first of all, it was a financial risk for any player who played in the Negro Leagues. If they hadn't already proven themselves on a team, they would need a steady job to supplement their income. So my father was allowed to work at Briggs Manufacturing Company for Walter Briggs, who was the owner of the Detroit Tigers, and he had an all-white team. So Briggs had a policy and he had a slogan that said, "No jigs with Briggs." And he meant that. So no black player was going to play on his team. So he had to die before the team actually added a man of color to their roster. And that happened on June 6th, I think it was 1958, and that was Ozzie Virgil. But he was a Dominican Republic. He was not a Negro. And that's when they changed the face of baseball in Detroit forever. The Negro Leagues were phenomenal baseball players with exceptional talent. But, their greatest opponent was Jim Crow. They had to face my dad extreme conditions and scrutiny. They were denied access to restaurants, hotels, bathrooms, and then they were denied their rightful play to play in the major leagues and their rightful place in history. Many of the stories are just being told today, but without many of the statistics, my dad, there's no film footage, and this is a rich history that's been lost. And that's because racism played an enormous role in their lives then. It continues to do so now. My daughter Vanessa said in her book, over the past 100 years, tremendous ball players from the Negro Leagues have been what she calls hidden figures. They're relatively unknown in their own hometown now. And unfortunately for us in Detroit, the Jerry Malloy Conference was just here the past 2 weeks. And at Comerica Park, that we celebrated Negro Leagues weekend at the same time. And on Saturday, July 22nd, to celebrate the centennial anniversary of my father's debut with the Detroit Stars, the Detroit Stars gave out a replica jersey, Detroit Stars jersey with Dad's number on it. That's what I'm wearing now. And there's a logo patch with the number 8 that was designed by my daughter-in-law, Rachel Rose. They gave it out to the first 15,000 fans. And you would be shocked by the number of fans who didn't know anything about Turkey Stearns. They just came to get the jersey because it was a giveaway. So most baseball fans recognize the names of Satchel Paige. They recognize Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, Rube Foster. But only the historians basically know about Turkey Stearns, Buck Leonard, Oscar Charleston, and a host of others. And even the fans who recognize the names cannot talk intelligently about the players. Now, my dad was a prolific and feared hitter. He not only hit for average, but he had power and he had speed also. And in addition to hitting over 400 twice and winning multiple batting crowns, he led the league or tied for the league in home runs 6 times. In addition, during his Negro League career, he was ranked first in triples, second in home runs, second in doubles, 5th in batting average, and 5th in stolen bases. Fortunately for us, in December of 2020, during the pandemic, Major League Baseball decided to officially make Dad and the Negro Leaguers a major leaguer. But to be honest, this is a lateral move. It's not an elevation because they were always major leaguers. And according to Scene Heads, during a Bally Sports interview 2 weeks ago, I learned that my father is number 7 on the list of major leaguers with a 348 batting average. This is indeed, it's a great honor. And now Major League Baseball needs to step up to the plate and compensate the families of these players who were never given appropriate compensation during their lifetime. For the past 14 years, my sister Rob and I sung the national anthem during Negro Leagues weekend. And for the past 2 years, they've added the Black National Anthem at Comerica Park. And in 2007, the Detroit Tigers unveiled the permanent plaque of my dad, and now they fly the Detroit Stars flag permanently. And Gary Gillette, historian and Sabre president, played an instrumental role in the city of Hamtramck's decision in the summer of 2020 to change the name of the baseball field to Norman Turkey Stearns Field at historic Hamtramck Stadium. So there are a lot of efforts to preserve and carry on the legacy of the Negro Leagues in the Detroit area, with more work to come. And finally, the Negro Leaguers face many obstacles because of hatred and racism, but their greatness could not be denied because they were phenomenal baseball players. They were relegated to playing in the Negro Leagues because of the color of their skin, but their teams could beat anybody, and they did. My father was a pioneer of Black baseball. He helped force the integration of baseball in America. He overcame adversity and racism by letting his bat do the talking instead of having confrontation. And he was one of what I call the GOATs, the greatest of all time superstars.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I think, this is, like I said, this is an honor to have all of you here and to hear some of this history. And I think the more we can talk about the actual history of things, how things really went, the better. More conversations, the better that we can have. And you're right, MLB does need to step up. They have quite a bit of work to do. So for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Lydia, can I get you to chime in as well? I would love to hear about your dad.
Sure. Like I say, I'm still hoping that he'll get on, but many of the stories that he tells is, I guess the best story that I like is that he started off as such a young boy, and that is why his nickname was Ron Schoolboy Teasley, because he was actually much younger than a lot of the older men he played with, including these men that we're talking about, Josh Gibson, Buck Leonard, and Turkey Stearns. He was much younger than some of these guys, but he did have the opportunity to play with them, and he just talks about what great men they were. He did say his favorite man was Buck Leonard, and so he talks about that all the time. I'm hoping he'll be able to jump on and talk a little bit about Buck. He knew him well. He was roommates with Turkey Stearns a couple trips, and he talked about how gracious he was. And I think he knew Josh Gibson. I'm pretty sure that he had played against him. He loves to tell the story about he got a hit or maybe 2 hits off of Satchel Paige. So he loves that he actually did get a hit off of him. And I just think the most amazing thing about the Negro Leagues is just the tenacity that they had to just get out there and just do what they wanted to do, was to play baseball. And Dad talks about, times when he had to ride in the trunk of the car. By him being a younger player, the older guys were worried about, him not knowing what to say if they were stopped by the police, or just many things, his age. He was really not supposed to be on some of those teams, but he was, because he was just that good, and they needed him, to be an extra on the team. So just many, many great stories that I'm really hoping he can get on as one of the few living players of that era. But some of his biggest accomplishments, I guess, are maybe, he was drafted by the Brooklyn Dodgers for a short time right after Jackie Robinson. He played for the New York Cubans in 1948. And I think most of Dad's success is really locally in the Detroit area, where he still holds the batting record at Wayne State University. And we actually met the captain of the team about 3 weeks ago, the captain of the Wayne State team. And he said, wow, nobody's broken your record in all this time. And he's like, I'm coming for your record. So we thought that was pretty cute, but so far no one has. And he's also known more in Detroit as being a championship baseball coach, where he won many like regional and state championships as a coach at his alma mater, Northwestern High School. And so it's just a great legacy that we have baseball in our family. Grew up all my life hearing about baseball, talking about baseball, going to the games, and it's really an honor to preserve his legacy, and also to be a representative of our foundation, which also has my mom's name in it, because her legacy is great as well as a journalist for one of the Black newspapers here. So that's pretty much the Teasley story in a short synopsis.
It's the short version for as much as we can squeeze in here.
Squeeze it all in.
There's,
Yes,
there's plenty more, I'm sure of it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Brian, I'm going to swing up over to you. You're up in my right-hand corner here. Can you speak a little bit more about your grandfather and the association, and let people know what y'all do for the community?
Sure, and it's great hearing those stories from Joyce and Lydia, and also being a part of the Negro Leagues Family Alliance as well. And we're coming off, I wanted to mention that we're coming off the anniversary of Buck and Josh going into the Hall of Fame, August 7th, 1972, which was yesterday. So celebrating that, that's just great. So I'm the grandson of Buck Leonard. His wife is my grandmother, was his second wife. And the founders of our association was my mother, Rose Hunter, and also Eugenia Leonard. We were founded in 1999, became an RBI affiliate in 2010, but we were doing baseball since 2003. So baseball is a big part of it, the RBI program, which we surrounded that program with STEM education or STEAM education, and include the arts into that, and science, technology, engineering, and math. And we just wanted to also give the kids an opportunity while they're playing. It's a great opportunity to learn at the same time. The beer collaboration will give the opportunity for the Buck Leonard Association and also the Josh Gibson Foundation to continue their work in their communities. Josh Gibson Foundation being in Pittsburgh, and we're in Rocky Mount. The Pints with Purpose collaboration will afford us to support our initiatives. And one of our key initiatives is the Buck Leonard History and Learning Center. And that's a renovation project. It was a home that was gifted to us by the Mitchell family. And this house served as Green Book lodging for African Americans during the segregation and also Jim Crow laws in the southern states as well. So we're renovating the home. It's going to house a literacy center, a library for kids. Also, there'll be a STEAM learning lab, and hopefully an indoor baseball facility so that we can train our kids in baseball year round. And I wish Sean was here to talk about what the funding would afford his foundation to do. But the Josh Gibson Academy, it's a wonderful vision. And I want to speak about, it's going to house social services organizations, educational organizations, has a recreational component, and also senior adult activities as well. But I want to give them kudos for also, it'd be one of the first miracle field projects, urban projects in the country. And this would afford kids with special needs to enjoy the beautiful game of baseball. And I think the motto is every child deserves the chance to play baseball, and our motto is play, explore, and play, explore. I'm sorry, play, explore, and preserve. I'm sorry. So this campaign will afford us to do that. But I also want to touch on the awareness part too, not just funding these projects of ours, but creating awareness for the Negro Leagues. And we are partnering with great artists, Triple Play Design by Mr. Kettleberger, and also you mentioned Tad as well with the Abundant Collective Marketing. And we have these hosts of artists throughout the community, throughout the nation, that are doing this beautiful artwork. Whether the artist is Daryl Matthews, whose father also played in the Negro Leagues. His father was named Fran Matthews. So that's just a little backdrop on what we're trying to do and the collaborations that we have.
That's great. Thank you. It's nice when you can get exposed to a collaboration that's like fully beneficial and reciprocal all the way through the whole thing. Like everybody's got their hands in something, and it's just, I think it's a really cool project that's being worked on. And Jonathan, I'm going to come back to you in just a second, but Celeste, I was going to bug you about talking about the beer a little bit, if you don't mind. I know that wasn't in our notes, but I would love to get you to weigh in on the connection between beer and baseball, the connection to North Carolina, maybe something about the recipe.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, so my phone overheated, so I literally had to put ice on it. So sorry for the disconnect. What can I say? I started brewing a little over 23 years ago in Harlem. Great history, wonderful legacy of music and culture, sports, all of that. And in 2017, I was invited to come to Rocky Mount, where I'm sitting right now. And my first drive-in was Buck Leonard Street Avenue. Yeah, Buck Leonard. I saw the name Buck Leonard on the road. I was like, wow, who is Buck Leonard? Didn't know a lot about Buck Leonard. Might have heard of him, but I had no idea what awaited me, and eventually connecting to the Buck Leonard family, learning about the Buck Leonard Association, having a chance, and I advise all of you to visit and walk around in the Buck Leonard house. It was like, wow. My nephew played for the Cardinals. A lot of my family members played baseball, but I'd never really connected to Negro League history. Heard about it, read about it, but all of this right here in Rocky Mount just was an awakening for me to get a chance to know Jonathan and Rose and Brian and their family and learn about this incredible history. So in the beer business, of course, baseball and beer, they kind of do connect. But for me as a brewer, what's been amazing and exciting is being able to meet families, connect to the culture and legacies in our communities. And here in Rocky Mount, having that opportunity to learn about not only Buck Leonard as a baseball player, but talking to people that are still with us that were young people that got a chance to know him when he left the game of baseball and became an entrepreneur and a community advocate. So I was like, I've had a chance to really get to know the whole history of the man and the family. So as a brewer, the great thing about brewing is that you pretty much connect to every industry, whether it's a local community charity or a corporate entity or different causes. And on our cans and packaging, we get a chance to tell those stories, share those stories, build awareness for those stories. So when I met the Buck Leonard, had a chance to meet everybody at the Buck Leonard Association, a discussion unfolded about, well, what about doing a beer that really celebrates and commemorates Buck Leonard? And given the relationship with the Josh Gibson family, Sean Gibson, the two came together because the history was there, one that I learned about. I spent many years in New York. I had a chance to go to Cooperstown. I walked around. I saw Buck Leonard. I saw Josh Gibson, but it didn't really connect until I found myself here. So I would just say that we're really excited. We worked with Metier Brewery in Seattle, Washington on the recipe. They have an amazing history there with baseball, Negro Leagues. We all came together, families, brewers, history, artists, all of it is just Brian just said, and we're just really excited. This week, in a few days, I'll be at the Barrel and Flow Festival. We have a chance to collaborate with the brewery there on the Thunder Twins beer. There are breweries all over the place, Puerto Rico, throughout the country that have dived on. May have gone off topic, but anyway, this has just been an amazing thing, and what I love about all of this is that it all starts with a conversation, whether you're in a bar, whether you're at an event. I'm just really honored as I read about this history, and even in my own hometown, the Winston-Salem Giants, there's just so much history there, as you said, that's not been discussed. As an entrepreneur, one of the things that was fascinating about the Negro Leagues is that, yes, it created these incredible players, but it also created an economy, an ecosystem that had local entrepreneurs, bakers, I imagine, all types of businesses in there that survived and thrived as a result of the game. And that was really fascinating for me to learn about that, how much it contributed, as Jonathan said, in terms of dollars, and how it helped sustain a lot of the families. So that part of it, the history, learning about, all of that stuff for me has been incredibly fascinating. I'll stop there. But thank you also for having me as part of this discussion.
Yeah, happy to have you here. And I think that's a probably direct affiliation. People can make that connection because a lot of craft breweries do the same thing. We end up creating like a little economy, our own little communities, and it's spread out and accessible to all kinds of folks. So I think, and honestly, conversations go great with a beer. So, this works out well to have more conversations about the leagues and the history and everything over a beer. So I think this collaboration makes a lot of sense. And Jonathan, I'm going to go to you I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about the name Thunder Twins, how that came about, why that is significant, and why the beer is named after the Thunder Twins.
Oh, wow. Thank you for asking the question. Actually, it came about because through black sports writers like Wendell Smith, they came up with a name to describe Buck Leonard and Josh Gibson because they were about the same size, and they batted third and fourth, and like I said, they were tremendous hitters, and it sounded like thunder when they hit. They hit so hard. Buck Leonard was known for hitting the ball was a line drive pull style hitter, and he was known for hitting home runs over and against the fence, and it would sound like boom when he hit the fence. And Josh Gibson was a power hitter that was known for hitting 600 footers, 600 and almost 700 foot home runs. He's the only man to ever hit a home run out of Yankee Stadium. And like I said, they were the greatest hitting tandem in Negro League history, and they won 9 straight championships together and things of this nature. But I want to diverse and go another direction right now. I want to talk a little bit about Buck Leonard just by itself, and then get to understand who Buck Leonard really was as a person. Buck Leonard was a Renaissance man. He played baseball, but also he was the team captain, and also he was he had about 3 or 4 different duties that he implemented while he was playing baseball. He was the captain, he was the manager, and also he was in charge of the money. He was a team treasurer. And Cumberland Posey, who's the owner of the Homestead Greys, put all of these responsibilities on him. And Buck Leonard actually didn't want all these responsibilities because he felt like he could play baseball better if he was just concentrating on baseball. But he had to handle the money, he had to get the team players on the field. He was in charge of the infield. He had to make sure that the shortstop was in place, the second baseman was in place, the third baseman, the catcher, and all these different responsibilities that he was implementing while he was playing baseball. Buck Leonard was the crowd favorite. That's what I want to say about him. He was the crowd favorite. He was a Renaissance man. He's a man that did a lot of different things coming up. At the age of 11, his father passed away, and he had to be the man of the household. And so his mother never worked outside of the house, and he was 11 years old, working as a shoe shine person, and also he was also had a job working at a hosiery mill, and he worked at a railroad putting brake cylinders on box cars for like 9 years until the Depression hit. He never thought about playing baseball as a profession, but it just happened when the Great Depression hit, he started playing baseball professionally. And also, I want to, before I forget, we have a baseball first baseman's Hall of Fame here in Rocky Mount, and every year we dedicate and honor baseball players who played first base every year. And I want to make sure I get that in, plug it in for my mother. She wants to make sure that's been plugged in. But back to Buck Leonard, the Renaissance man. He was a man of many duties, and also he batted 413 times in his career, and in around 413 times in his career. And he was a cool-headed man. Also, he was a team captain when things kind of got out of sync in games. He was the person that calmed everybody down. They had barnstorming teams. Sometimes the barnstorm against major leaguers in the summer in California. One incident I want to talk about Judge Kennesaw Landis. He was the commissioner of baseball for a quarter of a century, and he kind of controlled Major League Baseball. And the reason why they really didn't go into blacks didn't really go into the Major League because he didn't really want them to play with white players. But it was a situation in California when they were playing the Buck Newsom All Stars with a team of Major League players, and they were making pretty good money. But Judge Kennesaw Landis, was the commissioner of baseball, was a stickler, and he came to the game. He said, "Well, I want you to show me your hip holding." And everybody just threw a fit, but Buck Leonard had his whip holding in his hand and said, "Here you go, here's my whip holding." That's the type of person he was. He was a matter of fact man, and he was a very punctual man and very intelligent, cool-headed, and things of this nature. So I wanted to make sure I wanted to plug that in. But back to the Thunder Twins, it was just like a sense of pride the Thunder Twins gave to a nation that was basically fresh out of slavery and out of Reconstruction during the 30s and 40s, and it gave the African American community such hope and such pride. And it's something called dress to the nines. They would come to the game after Sunday service, dressed to the nines, and something that's very amazing to me. They would even push the Sunday service back 1 hour so they could go to the game. So that's how prolific the Negro Leagues were to blacks in America during that time. And Buck Leonard and Josh Gibson and Cool Papa Bell, Shasta Plays, Turkey Stearns, and all these great players of the Negro League gave a lot of African Americans hope. The percent of the population African American really got power from just watching these players play. So yes, this is where the term Thunder Twins came from. It came from black sports writers who were destined or bent on the fact of trying to get Negro Leaguers into the major leagues, but actually, in some ways, the Negro Leagues thrived during the segregated era because they made more money actually barnstorming. So it's like a two-edged sword there. It was maybe good for socially, but economically, I think as Celeste alluded to, was kind of like maybe a default. So it was a two-edged sword. But also I think about W.E.B. Du Bois. He spoke about something called the double consciousness of being black and being an American in the United States, where you have a warring personality. You want to go into the major leagues, but maybe it might be not so good to go into the major leagues. So it's always two ways to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I know I was all over the place, but
No, that's wonderful. That's exactly what I, I love it. No, it's perfect. And I would love for, and I'll have Joyce and Lydia. I'll let y'all, chime in as much as you want to, either or both of you. I would love to know how everybody that is watching, where would they go? Like the first place that you could go to learn more about the Negro Leagues, learn more about your family members that played, just in case, some people don't know anything. They don't know where to start. They want to learn about the teams and the players.
Oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
Well, they can start with our alliance website, Negro Leagues Family Alliance.com. It has all of the people that are the Negro League family members are on there with the bios, and it lists the events that are happening, that have happened in the past and upcoming. So that's a good start. It's got our pictures and the histories of that. We're still updating our website, but that's one place you could start.
Great. Is there and whoever wants to can chime in on this also?
Well, I want to say right quick, if I may.
Sure.
We had that's what we alluded to and spoke about. We have a museum here in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and we give tours. It's like a museum for the Buck Leonard Museum. We give tours there, and we hopefully in the future going to give virtual tours as well. But and I'm the historian at this place, and Brian knows a lot of history of the Negro Leagues and Buck Leonard because Brian was spoke with Buck Leonard a lot when he was a kid, and as I spoke with Buck Leonard a lot when I was a kid. My mother knows about like Buck Leonard, and Buck Leonard used to lean over to me and really iterate the importance of the Negro Leagues, and also Josh Gibson. And he spoke and he said one day you're going to meet some of the Negro League players, a family, and you're going to meet Josh Gibson family. And he told me to always to be especially kind to them and also be accommodating to them. It's like Buck Leonard was a man of extreme insight and extreme foresight. It's almost like he almost could see the future. He knew that things like this was going to happen one day. So I think you can learn a lot just by talking to some of the family members that we're doing right now, having these live streams, and speaking with my mother, speaking with my brother, and things of this nature, because we have a strong passion about that. And it's a lot of good ways to learn these things and be a part. And because the Negro League history is not just Black history; it's American history, it's world history. It's history for the world. It's history that we can all learn from and become better people. So it's a beautiful thing. Huh?
It is.
That's
And even
great.
Japan, and even I want to say, even in Japan, Black Americans in 1924, right before Buck Leonard came into the 1930s, they played in Asia, Japan, China, Philippines, Hawaii, and they were known as Black gentle giants because they taught the Japanese how to play baseball, but they did it in a way where it was not, intimidating. And the Japanese were very happy that they did that. And there's books written about that too, and about the history of the Blacks playing in Asia and in Japan and in China and things like that.
I had no idea about that. I'm gonna have to go research it now because baseball in Japan is huge.
Yeah,
So
and
that played a major role in diverting the history of baseball there. I have to imagine that was a huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
So you can also find out more about Negro Leagues. There are a couple of places you can go. It's baseballreference.com has a lot of information about the history of Negro Leagues. And a matter of fact, they're one of our sponsors that are going to help create history. It's a collaboration that's called The Nine, which is going to highlight the 9 best players. According to a poll they had, 9 best players on the Homestead Greys. And so this will be on social media, all of our social media outlets. And there is actually also the POS material, promotional material that will be distributed to all the breweries. And that's also will be interactive, telling the stories not of just the Thunder Twins, but, also the stories of Negro League players that you may have never heard of, and telling the stories of the Stearns and Teasleys in baseball. So as much as it does say the Thunder Twins collaboration of beer, this is really about the history of the Negro Leagues as a whole and creating awareness. And what the awesome place to do it with the breweries across the nation. It's an excellent platform to do it. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention Yakima Chief Hops, who Celeste, she spearheaded this thing. Kudos to Celeste and for making that possible. And also Draft Coasters. They do all the printables as well. And I can't say enough about Eric Kettelberger, who does all the illustrations, and also your buddy and Tad Richardson. So
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
I wanted to add one thing just to chime in with Brian, if I can. We definitely extend to all brewers the invitation again to be a part of this amazing, just groundbreaking collaboration, the Thunder Twins beer collaboration. I've never been a part of anything that has the impact, as Brian just said, not only for the Josh Gibson Foundation and the Buck Leonard Association but also for building awareness of the tremendous history that's all around us. We walk around it, we're in these places. I was on a call recently with Sean Gibson, where we were together collectively looking at state by state, where is this history? And where are the breweries in these places? There's a lot of discussion about diversity and all these things, and diversity for the sake of, having a chance to sit down and talk together and learn about one another. This history touches on so much, and it's a living history because it's still right there where you are, in the places where these teams played, where families still live. It's here. So as a brewery, since this is a craft brewers conference, I really, really just would urge you and invite you to be a part of this. This is one of the greatest opportunities to express your support of the community, your support of baseball community, but your support of these legacies, these living legacies, as you can see from this call. So please join this collaboration. You'll be inspired, you'll meet a lot of amazing people, and you'll certainly have an impact on these organizations, as well as some of the great work that's being done to support young people and enrichment across the country.
Absolutely. Thank you. I will also mention too, Celeste pulled this off. You get a discount on your hop blend from YCH by participating with the collaboration. So, and I want to make sure that everybody has the website address, which is www.thundertwinsbeer.com. And it has just about everything that you could possibly need to find out how to get involved, what's involved. The graphics are gorgeous, absolutely stunning. The illustrations are beautiful. Yes, and Celeste has the shirt, and if you think that looks good, then wait till you see the rest of the stuff, like promotional sheets and table tents, and there's QR codes that people can scan. It really is an amazing thing to get involved with. And I'm going to stop talking because Lydia, I think your dad just joined us.
Yeah.
And so, Mr. Teasley, thank you for coming. It is an honor to have you on this panel, and I would love to just hand the mic over to you and please share with us any story that you would like to.
Oh, thank you so. Sorry, I'm late. But I'm just so glad to be able to talk about one of my favorite players, Buck Leonard, because I had several encounters with him. His first time was in Detroit, Michigan, around 1943 or so, and he was playing first base. I didn't happen to get into that game as a player, but I was a coach at first base, so I had a chance to just watch him for 9 whole innings. The way he handled himself at first base, how he was moving players around, that sort of thing. And then the next time I met him was in St. Louis. We were playing a game. I was playing with Toledo in that game, and we had the Homestead Greys on the ropes going into the last inning. Then Buck Leonard came up and got a walk-off home run. So that then the next night we played them again in Ohio, in Canada, and in that game, Buck didn't get a home run. I guess the feature of that particular game was that Josh Gibson hit a long home run. And then let's see, the next encounter I had with him was at a reunion in Ashland, Kentucky, where they were establishing a Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in and was walked into the cafeteria and looking for a place to sit. And because I didn't know, I was a young player, and I did not know very many players. But Buck saw me and motioned to me, called me Bucko. So Bucko, come over, have a seat. And we talked about baseball. And it was just so enlightening to hear some of the stories that he had to tell. And then again in 1948, we played a game. I was with the New York Cubans then. We played a game at Griffith Stadium against the Homestead Greys. And again, Buck was the star along with Josh Gibson. And then, no, not Josh Gibson, just Buck Leonard. I think Josh had passed away in 1947. Yeah. But then later on, in 1948, I had been released by the Brooklyn Dodgers. So Sam, Buck was telling me and my partners that he was consoling us because he knew we were very depressed and we were down and out. But he told us that not to give up, to be sure you have a second choice, I'm sure. You have to go back to school, get a good education. So it's just so enlightening. He was just such a friendly person and such a great player that it was an honor to have met him and received some of his wise counseling.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I was trying to mute myself so we didn't have too much of a echo here, but Lydia, thank you for making this happen.
You're welcome.
I'm super grateful. And
Absolutely.
Mr. Teasley, it's an absolute honor to meet you, and thank you for sharing your stories with the group. And this is just, it was great timing. That was perfect timing. And I'd be sad if I didn't circle back to Joyce, because Joyce, I feel like what you said earlier is so incredibly important. And not only we talked about how people can learn more about the Negro Leagues and get involved with the projects and things like that, but for those that really want to go above and beyond and be better advocates of the leagues, the history of the leagues, what else can we do to raise awareness for the leagues and the families?
Are you asking me, or who are you asking that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joyce, I'm asking you, if you don't mind.
Well, you need to get involved. I mean, like I said, go to our we want you to go to our alliance website, NegroLeaguesFamilyAlliance.com, and see what's going on. And for people that are parts of that are family members, we want new people to join website. But if you look, it'll show the foundations on there. Our contact information is on there for each family member, because we want people to come through the Alliance now. People in the past have been going through the Negro League Museum, and some of us don't have a relationship with them right yet, but we're working on that. So we want people to contact us through the website and be a part of what we're doing and to support the activities and events that we have planned for the future. Because we really want Black kids to play. We want all kids to play baseball, but we really want Black kids to get more involved, because they're not playing baseball. They're playing basketball and football. And we don't want, our people, what the Negro Leagues have worked so hard to do, we want that to continue and that legacy to be carried on. We don't want it to die out with the players. Most of the players are dead. Ron Teasley, one of the last living legends from the Negro Leagues that's left. So, and we want them to be honored and to receive their accolades before they die. Because my dad, all his inductions, he's inducted in 4 Hall of Fame, and all of them came posthumous. My dad died in 1979. So we want to celebrate and honor people while they're alive. And we don't want the legacy to die, because these were phenomenal athletes and human beings. We want that to carry on. So we want people to come to our website, Negro League Family Alliance. You just have to type that in, and that website will pop up. And so we need support there.
Perfect.
And Julie,
Mm-hmm.
you can brew the beer. Brew some beer.
Absolutely.
Brew some Thunder Twins beer. And there's a whole lot of stories associated with that. I agree with Joyce as well. Getting kids to play this great sport of baseball. We have an RBI league as well. And, it's a great sport. You have to start early, introduce them to baseball and all the wonderful world that it can offer our kids on and off the field as well. So, yes. Brew the beer, though. Brew that beer, the Thunder Twins IPA. The recipe was done by Celeste, and it is great tasting. And, so buy some beer. Thanks. With purpose.
I'm sorry I didn't say that.
I second that. Brew the beer.
I'll support it.
Beer and baseball.
Beer and baseball. Absolutely. And I think, I've been in the beer industry for, over 2 decades. And Celeste is a pioneer in this industry that all of us look up to. And Celeste, hopefully you agree with me when I say this, but I'll go out on a limb and just say, we have a lot of folks in our industry that are asking, like, how can I get involved? How can we create a more diverse industry space? Like, this is your chance. Like, hey, get involved, brew the beer, participate in the collaboration, support the associations, support the organizations, support the families, learn about the history, continue that history. And it's the best of both worlds. So
cheers to that.
Absolutely. Well, I am going to wrap with about 40 seconds left here, but I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here and taking the time to educate us and speak with us and share your stories. This means a lot to me personally, and I know this is going to mean a lot to the community. And I'm rooting for the collaboration. And by the way, this is not a one-off thing. I'm going to be sad if I don't mention that. This is going to keep happening. So if you, for some reason, you can't do it this year, do it next year. It's not going anywhere. So this is something we plan on continuing. So thank you all so much.
The history lives.
Awesome.
It's alive.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks all. Great to meet you. Great to meet you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.